Hey everyone, it's Corey. I was analyzing a lot of product photos this week and I thought I'd do a quick video on the top 50 performers in this ultimate guide to e-commerce images. So let's jump right in. Plain white background. Obviously this is the standard. If you want your images to appear in the top results on sites like eBay or Amazon, you'll notice that this is the type of image that they primarily favor. So you're probably going to want to make sure that you have good plain white photos. If you don't have a studio where you can do this, like a small white box or something, you can always resort to your bathtub even just to get this type of shot. So this is a very advisable shot, and you should try to get a really good clean one, especially if your products are recurring. If you're going to be selling many of the same product, you want to get this one right. Lifestyle photos feature your product in everyday use. So for example, here the juice is what's really tempting me, not the actual machine. If you look at the machine, it's actually pretty neutral looking. If you were to have that on plain white background, there wouldn't be a lot of sort of emotion or flavor there. But by putting it in this everyday scenario, we actually frame it in a way that makes it very tempting. And it also helps us to visualize what we're going to get from it. So activation or setup photos or images are very, very important for products where people might get confused about this stuff, because you want to prevent unnecessary returns, right? So make sure that you're putting together a very simple image like this so that people understand what they're getting and how to do it. Cautions. So this is really super important. The reason that we've used a photo here instead of typing it out is because this is, obviously specific legal language. So if you have a product caution, you might want to just put a photo of that so it's exact, so you're not actually changing the language by accident, right? Super important that you include all cautions with your products, especially on eBay and Amazon and stuff like that. Not just to prevent unnecessary returns, but to prevent any type of mishaps. So informational images obviously have specifications or details about the product, and they help people understand it at a glance. Branded images give you some sort of authenticity or trust with the consumer. So it's really important to sort of, if you're selling these type of items, to make sure that you're covering that so that people understand, hey, this is an authentic item, this is what you're looking for, this is the real deal. So stats are obviously just to show the functionality or product features. It helps people visualize what they're going to get in terms of functionality from your product. Warranty images, so if you've got a 60-day money-back warranty like what we're seeing here, that's obviously a selling point. But also, this type of thing can be very, very helpful again in preventing unnecessary returns on the platform, right, where they would just deal with the vendor directly. So it wouldn't affect your statistics, for example. But at any rate, you want to highlight any type of warranties or money back certificates that come with the product. 3D render is when you need to show your product in a light that is difficult to do with the normal image. So this would be hard to show with a photo. It looks great with a 3D render, and you can often get these from the suppliers. So this is a really good economic way to cover a lot of products at once. Instructional images show people how to use your product or assemble it, etc. And these are really important again to prevent unnecessary returns, right? Because especially if you have a product like this that's kind of nondescript, it's not self-explanatory. So you want to make sure that you include this so everybody knows exactly how it works and how to make it work. Product-only shots are close-up images that highlight the product without any background distractions. So in this case, you can see really closely what the detail is, and so if that helps sell the product in terms of ease of assembly or replacement parts or something like that, that's really important. But the most important thing here is it helps people get to know your product intimately a lot quicker. So it's good to include a series of these with any of these type of products. Packaging shots are super important, especially where your packaging has information that's germane to the functionality of the product. So in this case, for example, at a glance, we see right away that it's compatible with Apple and Samsung. So that's really important, right? Or Android rather. So that's really important. A lot of people might be looking for that. But there's other important information on here, and it's really important to include these things because sometimes this could be a make or break for people trying to buy the product, and we want to make sure they get everything they need. Before and after shots, this is self-explanatory, but especially when you're doing something like a cleaning product, this is really important to show the results of the product. And there's a million ways you can do this, but it's super effective, especially in a context like this. Lifestyle with models is again just showing your product in everyday use, but now we've added human models. So in this case, it adds an extra level of emotion to the product. When people see this, they can visualize themselves using it, and that usually is powerful towards triggering a buy response. Exploded views help people to see all the components that comprise your product so that they can understand it very quickly at a glance. Dimensional shots help people to understand how large your product is in real life. So here we've got a comparison to a ruler, so people understand this is a 2.5 inch item. And it's really important because just to look at the photo of this item, you wouldn't know if it's 2.5 inches or 6 inches or whatever. Text overlay. So what we've got here is an image, so a photo or a 3D render where we have overlaid text for information or promotional purposes. This is very common on eBay and Amazon, and you can create stuff like this in Canva or whatever. Comparison shots show your product in use next to your competitor's product. This is different than a before-after image, but ostensibly has the same kind of function in this case, right? But basically it's helping you differentiate what you're selling from what everybody else is selling. Accessories included is super important. If you're including something, make sure that you have it all photographed together like this so people understand what the entire purchase is. At the same time, make sure that you're not accidentally including anything extra. 360-degree views are very helpful. So in this case, in one image, we've covered left, right, behind, and forward. So some of the details of something like a garment like this might be a make or break for somebody wanting to purchase it. For example, here where you can see there's gray instead of black. So that's really, really important to make sure that everybody is seeing that. And this is one way you can do it with a single image. Certificate of authenticity. So especially in cases where it's safety oriented, you want to make sure that you include this, but also where it's quality oriented because it can be a selling point, especially with luxury goods and things like that. Detailed zoom shots where you have texture of your product or there's some sort of, intricate design there. You want to make sure that you really blow that up in full detail so people see it because it's a selling point. Not only is it a selling point, but it's also a point of usability. And again, you want to avoid mismatches or returns. Action shots really bring your product to life. So for example, here we have a skipping rope, which is pretty inanimate sort of object. But when we put the action shots together like this, it really helps to illuminate the benefits and joy that this product can bring, right? So you really want to make sure to do a great job of action shots for items where that is relevant. Eco-friendly indicators can really help you sell your product, especially these days where people are super conscious of what they have in their home. So make sure that you highlight things like being recyclable, sustainable materials, or support for any type of eco-friendly endeavors. Limited edition is important to call out right away, right? So that if somebody is a collector, they will immediately know that what they're looking at here is a special object. So we would highlight that it's a limited edition or a collector's edition. Repairing or refurbishing a product, when you're releasing that product, it helps to show details of what was repaired or what was refurbished so that people understand exactly what they're getting. Defect or damage. So if you have a product that has some sort of a defect or damage, really make sure to highlight that because this is the one thing that's probably going to lead to a product return, right? So you don't want any misunderstandings here whatsoever. We want to make sure that we have a very clear and detailed description in text as well as photo. Seasonal items, we've added here theming to our product photography to make it more tempting and more contextual. So what we're selling here is the socks, and socks on a white background are maybe not as warm and tempting as in a theme like this, but when you put them in a theme like this, it really brings the product to life. Now you can probably get some of these product images from suppliers. Digital or downloadable previews, so we've got a software product or a game or something, we're going to show an actual screen capture from that game. because it's more tempting, right? If somebody says to you Tetris, well, that's not very tempting, but look at that screen, you think, yeah, I could play a game, right? So it's actually tempting, but not just that, it's also describing to you exactly what you're getting so that the product is well understood. Unboxing shots, when you do it in this type of a context, it gives people the experience that they will have when they receive the product, which is really important. People want to know, what can I expect when I spend my money on this product? And an unboxing shot is ideal for that. Brand or product story. So here the hat belongs to or was used by a character in a popular Christmas movie, and we are calling attention to that so that people know this is the story behind this product and they may want to buy it for Christmas parties or something like that. So whenever you add a story behind the brand or the product, you add that sort of emotional appeal to people to pick up this item. It's no longer just a hat, it's actually something where you're going to wear it to a Christmas party and your friends are going to react because they know the movie and so forth. User-generated content is very powerful. Here, a customer has sent us an image of their dog enjoying our dog bed, and we have included that in our ad. Super powerful stuff because it's very organic, and also it doesn't take you time to make this stuff. People send it to you. Multi-product bundle. So here we have products by different vendors all in one package. We want to make sure that we really outline everything that's included and make sure that the logos are big enough so that they see that there is multiple vendor items included in this package. Color options, we want to make sure to outline all our colors, but we want to do it in the most exciting way possible. We want to show the actual product, not just a hex color swatch. So in this case, you can see that the blue speckled color is quite exciting, and it would be very hard to show that in a swatch format. So we've broken it out by actually photographing the product and then creating this color sheet. Set arrangement. So anytime you've got something that comes in a set, could be collector cards, could be fitness equipment, dinnerware, make sure to show the whole entire set so that people know what they're buying and what they're adding to their life, because that's the really important thing. They're trying to visualize how this will fit into their household, right? So showing the entire set at once is a powerful way to cover that. Dynamic angles really bring out the best in a product, right? They bring out that dynamic perspective that adds value and makes that product seem more special or exciting. So it's worth doing, especially if you have a white box, you can just kind of move your camera around until you discover some cool stuff. Lighting effects, such as soft or directional or colored lighting, can really enhance the quality of a product, right? So in this case, this watch looks a lot more appealing because of the directional lighting effect that has been added to it. Behind the scenes, so here we've added authenticity to this item by showing ourselves photographing it in the white box, so people who are purchasing shoes see that it's from a nice clean shop and that it's all been handled properly, and they really like that, especially in the context of something that people are going to either wear or consume, right? So this is a great way to show that you have really cared for your products and add assurance for the customer. These are service detail images. So if you've got a product that's likely to require some sort of support or service, you may as well include that so that you can streamline that process and again avoid unnecessary returns. Virtual try-ons show variations on a product or garment on different virtual models so that you can see what it would look like and visualize how it would fit into our own lives. Multifunction product photos show the product in each of its state. So if we have a multifunction product, let's say a flashlight that's also a compass or a 9-in-1 tool, we want to show each of those states in a product image so that people can understand what it is that they're buying and how it works. Storage or portability. So if you have certain items, in this case we have a treadmill, and we want to really sort of emphasize the fact that it's highly portable and storable, because we don't want people to think that they're adding something bulky to their household. So we're highlighting that here by showing that it goes under the sofa and under the bed with wheels designed for easy movement. Customizable features. So here we've got the photo, and we have made it very clear what is customizable about this. So you know that when you order this, you're going to be able to personalize that text area there. And it also shows it in the context of a social gathering, So you're kind of also developing some sort of emotional appeal for that product at the same time. Here we've shown the kinetic motion of the item in the image so people understand that you have to turn and pull for filter replacement. You could also use an interactive or an animated image to depict this, or even video, but this is a simpler way of showing it. Scale comparisons is where we're showing a familiar object next to our product so that people will immediately understand what the scale is. Testimonials or quotes is where we've included in our imagery some testimonial or quote from a customer or some sort of user feedback. Again, you want to use real customer reviews. You don't want to make things up, and you want to make sure that you are covering sort of whatever the pain points or the questions are that the customer would actually have. Here we've got mood-based photos. So in a mood-based photo, you've used some sort of color or lighting, usually warm or cool tones, to evoke some sort of a emotion. In this case, we've used warm tones to evoke an emotion of comfort around this yoga light. So here we've got problem-solving imagery. We've detailed here that this product helps you with sore feet, swollen feet, cold feet, tired feet, and we've even mentioned, do you have these problems? So when people see this image, they have a clear understanding of which problems our product solves. So if they have those problems, this is going to be very appealing to them. Maintenance instructions for some products are very important here. For example, disinfecting a CPAP machine. So you want to make sure that you have very clear step-by-step instructions, and you want people to see this pre-sale so that they understand what it is that they're buying and how they're going to have to take care of it. Localized imagery uses some sort of regional or localized imagery like Las Vegas or Los Angeles to show the relationship between a product or a product experience and some sort of geo theme. So in this case, the agave with the agave field gives it more authenticity, right? So that's our 50 top performing product photos. We're going to add one here, which is our bonus, and that is AI visuals. Of course, this is taking over, and you're seeing a lot of them out there. If you're selling these actual images, I would encourage you to maybe make sure that you're using the actual product photo and only using AI to develop the backgrounds or something like that, because you want to make very sure, first and foremost, that you're always being authentic. And anytime you use AI imagery for the actual product, I think that you're not being authentic, and you're also risking sort of eroding that trust with the client, especially if they notice later. And I don't think it's even worth opening up that can of worms. But in a case like an image like this, maybe if you want to generate the background and then put your real coffee mug photo on top of it, I don't see anything wrong with that at all. So our key takeaways here: use high resolution images, show all the details of the product. Take the time to do this, especially if you have products where you're going to be selling multiple copies of the product, right? So if you have 200 units of something to sell, make sure you're being very, very explicit and complete with this stuff. If it's just a one-off, you can sort of get away with a little bit more. Make the benefits clear. I think this is really super important, especially if you're selling in a competitive environment like eBay or Amazon. It's really, really important to make sure that people understand what they're looking at and how it's going to benefit them. Otherwise, they're not going to be comparing apples to apples, right? So be accurate and complete. This is, again, really, really important. Don't leave anything out, and never try to imply something that isn't true or leave out something that's important. It's really, really important that you spend the time, spend the extra 5 or 10 minutes and get your ad absolutely comprehensive. And of course, the last point there is to evoke desire. If you can make people crave your product, do it. If you can show somebody using it in a lifestyle model photo that's going to make them want it just by glancing at that, do that and front load that. Don't be shy to use that desire first, then backfill everything else if it works best for your product. And so that leads us into this, which is you should be studying the top performers. Why are they performing so well? What do they have in common? Compare the quantity in each one and the sequencing. Is there a formula for your category? How can you leverage this knowledge? monitor the top competitor trends. So going through this real quick, why are the people who are beating you performing so well? Take a look at their images and try and figure it out. Try and see what multiple top competitors have in common, and then compare the quantity of images that they have and the sequencing. So for example, is everybody starting with a clean white image, then a lifestyle image into an info image? If so, you want to be able to spot that and see this pattern, so that going on to number 4, you can turn this into a formula and you can reuse that and repeat that for high performance. And again, that goes into number 5. How can you leverage this knowledge? Well, now you have a pattern, now you have a formula. Even if you don't, it's really important that you always monitor the top competitors in your space, because they're discovering new ways to sell more product. And most importantly, their new ways are getting in the way of your old ways. So I hope this was helpful. Make great product images, be honest, be complete, and go out there and sell a lot of product.